And we are back on the build phase. I'm Mr. Ben, and holy smokes, it has been a week. So, this is not going to be the super detailed, card mechanic heavy matchup discussion of what happened in Midwinter. I am going to tell the story of Midwinter here. There will be, I'm guessing, at least 3 or 4 podcasts about this event by the time I hit all the various topics I want to hit. Today, all I'm going to do is just tell the story of my weekend. Uh, I will do another show where I get really nitty gritty about like matchups and stuff like that. So to begin, my plan was to leave Friday morning and get to Milwaukee before lunchtime. Probably not early enough to play in the big team battle, but early enough that we'd be around for the second event that day, which I wanted to stream as kind of a proof of concept. I hesitate to use the term test run, but that's kind of what it was. I was stress testing all of my equipment to make sure that I was ready to go to live stream the whole event the following day. So we couldn't keep that plan though, because the weather decided it was going to blow in the craziest storm I've seen in my entire life. I've heard many other people through professional contacts comparing this to the great Midwest snowstorm of 1979. I was not around for that one, but this was, I think in Milwaukee, I heard somebody say it was 2 feet of snow in a 20-hour period. It was horrific, and we knew it was going to be horrific. And I kind of kept in my head telling myself, well, I'm just going to get up Friday morning. It'll be fine. Maybe it'll take a long time to get there, but we'll get there. And my wife really was like, dude, you can't do that. You got to go. So I went to work Thursday, perhaps foolishly, got off work with not really enough time to get prepared and packed because I'm a pretty meticulous guy. I have like my checklist of things to make sure I don't forget anything when I travel. And there was none of that. My Versus collection literally got like arm swept into a tub. I'm pretty sure I left some cards that I actually wanted at home, but like that's the way it happens when you pack under incredible duress. But we did flee the state of Iowa and make it all the way to Illinois or all the way to Wisconsin before the storm hit. By the time we got up Friday morning, though, there was a lot of snow on the ground. So we made our way to the Ingleside, and at this point, we were in town like super early. So I told Whit we should play in the big team battle. I have never been able to participate in a big team battle. I've always really liked the idea of it, the splitting the room in two and then having the whole room fight each other. Whit was one of our captains, which made him very uncomfortable, but he was so worried that he was going to pick a matchup and somebody'd be mad at him over it. And that just wasn't the case. Man, I'm getting ahead of myself. So walking into the versus room, it is like it's been a long time since I've been to an event. The reasons for that I'm not going to get into, but it's been a long time. So to walk into a room and that like everybody knows your name feeling, hey, everybody wants, you shake hands, you give people hugs, like, oh, I haven't seen you in forever. I haven't seen you ever. It's great to finally meet you. Like the camaraderie, the community around the game of Versus is so special. I've played a lot of games over the years. I've played a lot of games competitively, and there's something special about the sort of the network, the community that has grown up around the competitive scene in this game, and the way, I mean, we'll be tough on each other on the playmats, but we all kind of are like, hey, you like this obscure game? Yeah, me too. And there's almost like this fraternity underneath it that just we're all pulling in the same direction. There's this shared project of loving this game, and I think that's very cool. So big team battle didn't go very well for me. I got basically beat up all day. That's okay though. Our team lost. That's okay though. I got to play versus in person with people like Kayla, who I had never met before, although played with a couple times online. I got to see Jason Roosevelt again. Like they're Team Apex. I mean, I don't want to list because I'm going to forget. literally everybody who was there, I was happy to see you. Like I don't really like being touched, and I was giving people hugs. That's how happy I was to see everybody. So the first event, a lot of fun. We got through that. The room was like a million degrees. Like I am a dude who is cold from October to March. Even during the summer when it's like hot out, I sometimes have my winter hat on because I'm just always cold. And that room was kind of killing me. So I imagine all the normal people who were in there were sweating and just melting like ice cubes. It was very warm, which I guess ended up being a good thing, foreshadowing. So we go into the second event and I'm able to set up the stream and I detect a few things that I like. I make a couple changes. Overall, I think it went pretty well. It wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be, but that's okay because the main thing I wanted to do was have everything right for tomorrow, Saturday, the big event. So towards the end of the day, Bert walks through the room finally. Another hey, and we those of us that were staying with Peter, we retreat, and ended up playing Magic till way late in the night, which is a lot of fun. I mean, we played a lot of verses too, but I love having a diversity of games that we can play. Playing big commander games is something that I've recently kind of really fallen in love with after many years away from that game. So I get up Saturday morning and I have this last major piece of the project that I want to get done is this B-roll for the stream. So when I need to run off and use the restroom, if there's an issue that's stalling things, I created a 5 minute, well, I started creating a 5 minute video sequence where I promoted all the podcasts in the versus space, uh, stuff that people sent me. I started to edit it in there, and I'm working on this for a couple of hours. Like I got up 6ish, I think, uh, and probably around 8ish, Peter's like, "Dude, they still don't have power at the hotel. Like, there's not going to be a stream, man." And oh, so yes, the hotel lost power around 9 p.m. Friday night. The hotel was out of hot water by Saturday morning, and there was no heat. There was emergency lighting, which meant you could kind of get around, but there were some dark places. And the room we were supposed to be in was not going to be playable. So they moved us to another, what was supposed to be like a general gaming area. And there was a little bit of, like, there was a guy who was setting up a game. Oh, am I going to be in your guys? What? We had no problems. There was never an issue where there wasn't enough tables, where the versus team can get, or team, the versus community can get pretty rowdy. Like, we shout at each other, certain plays happen. Like, we can be a boisterous crowd. And I can understand somebody who's trying to play a nice, quiet board game in the corner might not totally appreciate that. However, everybody I talked to, I made a point to say, hey guys, I realize this is supposed to be open gaming space, but without the power, just if there's anything we can do, if you need more tables, you need more chairs, we want to be good neighbors. And everybody was interested in the game, friendly. I think there was something about being in a hotel with no heat in negative 10-degree weather with 2.5 feet of snow on the ground that kind of bound us together in the hardship of it. And let me take a moment to just pour praise onto both Ingleside and Midwinter Gaming Convention. Losing power for almost a 24-hour period could have easily ended the convention. I think the Ingleside would have been within their rights to say, hey, we just can't do this. I think Midwinter would have been within their rights to say, hey, we just can't do this. And instead, what we got is both sides of that coin being like, we are going to do this the best we can. I never thought I'd buy blankets at a convention. I had to buy a blanket for my kid to try to keep him warm because it was freaking cold, man. But it worked. And the sort of surreal weirdness of it, playing cards by these like emergency lights, but largely the natural lighting coming in from the windows, listening to Peter and David plan about how, okay, well, once we lose the light, then we're going to have to move to this spot that has like better emergency illumination. The people who were able to charge their cell phones, they could use them as flashlights. Having to have all of this stuff lined up, it really, it was, it was just crazy. The whole experience. So what ended up happening is we had an odd number of people and I couldn't do a stream anyway. So I said, all right, I'm going to play. And multiple people offered me decks. I know Mitch uh, Osh, I think Bert. I'm forgetting people, but ultimately I took a deck from Ralph Edwards, and I specifically did this because I thought it would set me up for a really funny joke because I'm going into the midwinter tournament with no preparation to play. I had done a lot of studying of the meta. I had a lot of strong opinions on what I thought was going to be good, but that was all from the commentary standpoint. So I hadn't really thought about myself in the driver's seat. What deck should I play? What should I be doing? And I thought, there's no way I'm going to pick up games against people who have really been in. It would be disrespectful of me to think I'm going to come in and do well, especially knowing the kind of decks that Ralph plays. So I like combo decks. I sometimes play combo decks, but I don't play combo decks the way Ralph plays combo decks. He goes all in on everything. So I thought it would be really funny. Take the deck, accept my L's over the course of the day because I didn't deserve W's, and then I would have this funny story about how look what Ralph did to me. I thought that would be funny. Um, Man, I'm missing other things. There's a lot to talk about over the course of this weekend. It didn't end up working out that way. I ended up at one point halfway through, I was up 3-0 and kind of in shock. Some of that was favorable matchups. Like I got paired up against Mike Milholland, and he was on Mare. I was on the X-Men Deadpool, and his deck was just not constructed in such a way to be able to deal with what I was trying to do. So that kind of sucked. I did pick up one win that I super didn't deserve, but I don't want to get I don't want to get hung up on this. I'm trying to broad stroke it here. So 3-0 to start the day, and then 0-3 skid to finish the day. And that was a little frustrating. There was a couple of those that I really feel like I could have, maybe should have won, and sometimes you just don't get the draw you need. There were a couple mistakes here and there I made throughout the course of the day. I don't feel like I made any huge misplays. The biggest misplay I made across the whole day, I ended up winning that match, so I don't think I don't think it's that big. And I sat down for my round 6 match, winning in. I'm sixth in the standings going into it. So I know if I win this, I'm in, and if I lose it, I'm out. And I'm looking at Sean Powell across from me, and I said, "Hey man, you know what happens here? No matter what, I win." And he's like, "Oh, well, why is that?" I'm like, "Well, if I win, then I'll make top 8, and that's pretty cool. And if I lose, then I'm going to go set up my stream," which is the whole reason I came to Midwinter in the first place, because I really wanted to do a high quality stream. And we kind of laughed about it, and we played our game, and he got me. And so then I started setting up, thinking, okay, I got to get my stuff out. And a couple people came up to me, "Hey man, I wouldn't commit to the stream yet. Like you might still get it with an even record." So we go over after the round ends, and Peter reads off the results, and I'm in 6th. And I'm kind of in shock. Like, what? Like, I was sure I wasn't going to make the cut. Well, it turns out what happened is that the results had been put into the tournament software, but the page hadn't been refreshed. And once it was refreshed and round 6 was tabulated in, I dropped from 6th place down to, I don't remember, 10th, 11th, I think, whatever, outside of top 8. So that was kind of funny. I told Peter I reserve the right to tease him for this for all eternity. Or actually, I think I said I reserve the right to tease you for an undetermined amount of time. And by undetermined, I mean until one of us dies. At which point he reminded me that in round 1 of Big Team Battle, I drew a single card, and we joked about how playing Magic trains you to draw a single card. And I was like, oh, I won't make that mistake. Sure did. And Peter saved me. He reminded me. Okay. So that brings us to the end of Swiss round. So I get the stream set up. I talk it over with Dave, and I pick the match that I want to call. And then in between top 8 and semifinals, Dave came over and asked me what match I wanted to call for semifinals. And I don't remember saying this, but I heard on the Team Buckeye recap, what I said was, "Hey, give me this other matchup because I'll see John again in the finals." I just called his deck. I'll see it again in the finals. And we kind of laughed. Well, that seems a little disrespectful to our champion, doesn't it? The guy who beat John and walked right past him to beat Jose and win the whole event. Ooh, I don't remember saying that, but I kind of wish I hadn't made that joke now. To be fair, that does sound like something I'd say, but it was not meant to be disrespectful of Sean. It was meant to be lumping praise onto the really well tuned, crazy powerful, difficult to deal with deck that John brought. So, again, no disrespect for the champ. Please forgive me, sir. So that wrapped up Saturday. We get to the end of the stream. It was like I think 4 hour and 40-minute stream. And thank you to all of the fans of the Versus community who watched that. When I hit end stream, we were on for 4 hours and 40 minutes, and we already had more than 27 hours worth of view time. So it seems like I've done live streams for events before. This one felt like it had a little more viewership, a little more oomph behind it. And I do hope that trying to present accessible versions of streams where we talk through the plays. Yeah, I think you could notice if you watch that, one of the problems is it's even if you are intimately familiar with the game, it is hard to follow the game if you can't hear what the players are saying. So there was one play in particular, and oh man, this is going to go down in versus history. Jose, I think it's game 2. Jose is attacking with Nightwatch, who has been turned into a Fantastic Four character, into Sean's Mr. Fantastic main character. And Sean drops the Fantastic Four plot twist. And the whole booth is like, well, he's got to be putting it all into defense, right? You got to just, because if Jose has something, and I do the math real quick, and I'm like, hey guys, at least I think this was me. If it was one of the other people, I apologize for attempting to steal your credit, but I think I was the one who said, hey, if he splits it, he could become a 4 attack and whatever it was, 6 on the defense, and that will make it so Nightwatch can't stun him, or he'll still stun him with whatever it was that had been played. But I'm telling this story horribly. It was Alicia Masters in play that was making Nightwatch a 4/4. So by splitting it, he was able to stuff the attack and not take a wound, but also get up to 4 attack and stun Nightwatch back. And in the booth, we were debating like, no, he's got to be defensive. You can't risk it. You can't risk the wound. And then the Nightwatch went face down. And oh my God, Sean isn't playing not to lose. He's playing to win. Such a cool moment. I'm going to talk about that moment a lot going forward because it was such a strong, brave play. Like he could have easily been punished for that. Jose's deck had all kinds of ways to really punish for that, but he didn't have him in hand. And sometimes you have to make your opponent have it. I remember somebody said to me a long time ago, if you always play like they have it, then they never have to draw it because you're punishing yourself essentially by playing around things your opponent does. Sometimes you just have to go for it. Sometimes you just have to say, all right, I'm committing. Do you have it? And if they don't, you win the exchange. And largely, I think that's where game 2 turned. I haven't gone back and rewatched it, but in my head, that's where game 2 started to turn and Sean started to take over and he ended up closing it out. So I think that play is so cool. And if you were just watching it and you didn't know Nightwatch, Alicia, Fantastic Four, Mr. If you didn't know all the cards, you're not going to be able to totally tell what happened there. And even as the commentators who could see all the cards, it took us a minute to totally understand what had happened there. And we almost missed this amazing moment. I mean, we didn't. We wouldn't have because we were paying close attention. But it could have been missed if this was a stream with no commentary and somebody who wasn't familiar with the game, just, oh, okay, I guess I don't know what happened there. And it's such a cool moment. I hate to miss those moments. I want those moments recognized and talked about. And I think having quality streams where we have engaged commentators is one of the ways that we can do that. I don't want that to come off as any shade to the people who have done streams forever. I have done streams without commentary. Like in the Versus community, we take what we can get. And for a long time, just to stream at all has been awesome. You know, thank you to David Robbins for doing that at so many different events. But I want to see a little more. I want our game to grow up, and I want you to be able to put a Versus event on the TV and have somebody who maybe likes card games but isn't Versus be able to watch it and understand what they're seeing. And that's the role that commentary serves. Okay, that was a huge segue into me justifying the value of commentary. So I get up Sunday morning, and we get the car packed. I take Bert to the airport. Me and Wick get out of town and it's bad. Like there's just so much snow, but we finally get out of Milwaukee and all the way from Milwaukee through Illinois, we're like, man, we're making great time. And as we start to get towards Iowa, we start to see these random patches of ice. So I slow down more and more. And at a certain point, the car in front of me just stops. And I had about 3 cars worth of stopping distance, and it wasn't enough. I scrubbed off as much speed that I could, but I had to change lanes. And as soon as I did, I lost control. I hit the ice. So we went back and forth. I was able to avoid connecting with any other cars. It was close. It was scary, but we ended up with one tire in a snowdrift. And I thought, this is nothing. So I popped out of the car. It was on my mind that we skidded out on the ice, and now I'm standing outside my vehicle, very near that place where we know the ice is. And I was pretty concerned, but I spent about a half an hour trying to dig the front wheel out. I finally got it completely dug out. I didn't have a shovel. And my ice scraper broke pretty quickly. But I finally got that wheel dug out. I hop in the car, I go to pull out, and I realize I can't move. And I look a little closer, and I'm actually high centered on the windrow. And at this point, I don't have the tools. My right hand is already starting to really hurt. Uh, Flash forward, I do have minor frostbite in every finger in my right hand. Blisters on my thumbs, not great. It's not life threatening. It's not bad. I'm gonna be fine. But like -10 degrees is no joke, people. And I'm not as tough as I used to be. At 14, I think I would have dug out. At 42, I had to call a tow truck. And that was a little intense too, because I called 8 places and nobody even answered. And finally, the ninth place I called, the guy answered, says, "Ah, we're not going to be able to get to you today, but where are you?" I can literally see Interstate 80. It's like 40 minutes from home. Like we make one turn and then we're on 80 until literally my front door. That's how close to home we are before we had this spot of trouble. And he goes, "Okay, I'll be there in half an hour." So he got there, pulled me out in 30 seconds, and we got home. All in all, the drive was like, I think we left around 9:30 and we got home at like 4:30. Normally it's like a 3.5 hour drive. It was a long, long, long day. So that was my midwinter weekend. The roads here in Iowa are horrific. There's out my front door, my street has probably 2 inches of compacted snow and ice on it. It just hasn't been dealt with because there's been so much snow. I understand that like bad weather is sort of part of the whole midwinter experience, but in, in the words of that one chick from the Matrix, not like this. Not like this. Oh man, there was a couple guys who drove up from I think it was Chicago the morning of. It was Jeremy. Oh, and I'm not going to remember. I met this guy. Oh, I'm so sorry. There was a new face. I saw a new face on Saturday. And I was like, I'm going to go introduce myself. Hey, what's up, man? I want to make sure you feel welcome. And I sat there and chatted with the guy for probably 10 minutes, and I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry. In my defense, I got like 1 day's worth of sleep across 4 days, and I had quite the week. But, shoot. Um, So the people who tried to drive in the morning of, that's bananas to me. We drove in from Peter's house, which was like a half an hour away, or distance wise, and it took us significantly more than that, and was kind of sketchy. So the people who braved that weather, a credit to all of them. Of course, congratulations to the champ. I want to come back and talk about each midwinter event in greater detail. I want to talk about incursion. There's a lot of stuff about kind of surrounding this that I really want to break down and get into, but this was what I wanted to do on Monday. Just kind of recap and summarize the whole weekend, and then I can go down in detail on all of these very weird. Man, it was such a crazy weekend. And I feel really good that I was able to like finally meet like Ryan Milholland. I've been talking to this guy for years, and I had to actually think like, wait, let me look up this Facebook, make sure I go say hi to the right guy. uh, Man, it's just such a good time to see everybody. Both my wins and my losses felt pretty good, except for that one loss against Jason. I'm gonna continue to be bitter about Billy Butcher into Rogue. That was not a good matchup for me. My opener was 2 7s and 3 6s, and the rest of my cards were 4s. And Rogue had blue, blue, call, plot twist. It was brutal. Oh man, In all actuality, I love playing cards with basically everybody that was there. And win or lose, man, midwinter was such a great time. Please, if you haven't already, shoot the Midwinter Gaming Convention a message if you were there and you liked it, because I bet they need all the positive affirmations they can get right now. Those people were put through something. I cannot imagine how traumatizing it would be to be when I organize like a 12-person tournament. I sometimes get stressed out. I cannot imagine organizing a convention and then having the power go out and like people with their CPAP machines. Like that's not like optional, man. Like that's really important stuff. That's huge. Even just like you don't realize how important electric lighting is until you don't have it. Like there is something unsettling about having to like go use the restroom in the dark. You know? And the cold. Oh man. Okay, I'm rambling. I'm gonna stop it here. That is my brief. I don't know if we can call it brief anymore. That is my semi-brief summary of the midwinter events from the point that I left town until the point that I finally got home and slept for like 12 hours straight. So thank you to all of the people who were there that I had a chance to say hi to. If I didn't personally shake your hand or get a hug from you, that's probably my fault and I'm sorry. Next time I see you, let's make contact. I really wanted to say hi to like everybody. And I think I talked to most people, but if I missed you, I promise it wasn't a snub. It was just because there was a lot going on. uh, wow. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm just going to keep rambling if I don't. So until next time, go win some games.